Hey everybody, today I'm going to show you the easiest recipe there is to making bread. What you're going to need is 3 tablespoons of yeast, 3 tablespoons of salt, 6 cups of warm water, and 13 cups of flour.
I must give credit where credit is due. This is not my recipe. I got it from MotherEarthNews.com. This is 33613 bread. I don't think that's the name of it, but that's what I call it. And here's the recipe. I'll also add the recipe to the show notes.
So if you're anything like me, I have searched and searched and searched for the perfect bread recipe. It's been 3 years and I have tried countless times over and over to make homemade bread. Yes, I can make bread in a bread machine, but I wanted to know the simplest of things. How do you mix flour and water and get something delicious? And for me, it was just a really big struggle. So I was just determined to be able to figure it out no matter how many times I tried and failed. Finally, I found the recipe, and what you need to remember is 3, 3, 6, 13. And that's what we're gonna call this bread, is 3, 3, 6, 13 bread. That's all you have to remember. It has simple ingredients, it's easy to do, and you really can't mess it up. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna make a whole batch that lasts a whole week for a large family. We have 6 people, and this lasted me about 5 days. So that was pretty good, and that was making 2 loaves every day. So we're gonna get 3 tablespoons of yeast.
Why only 3?
1.
Well, what happens if you put
2.
4?
It won't work right. 3. There's our 3 tablespoons of yeast, and we're gonna mix that with our 6 cups of water, warm water.
Why don't you put it in like
Go ahead and get a
maybe a
close-up of
big
that.
cup and then keep filling it.
So now what we're gonna do is get 3 tablespoons of salt. And I use sea salt. I don't like to use regular table salt, but you use what you prefer. 3. It is a lot of salt, but we're making a very big batch of bread. Now we're gonna add our 13 cups of flour. And Elijah is gonna help me keep count so that I don't forget what number we're on. Okay, go ahead and look at me.
Doesn't it look like everything?
So we're gonna mix this in, but we are not going to knead the dough.
Why not?
You're not. So at first we're gonna use our spoon, but as it gets more difficult, then we're gonna just use our hands.
But do you want to get done?
So the point of this is not to knead. You do not need, this is a no knead recipe. We are just making sure that all of the flour is well mixed in and that it's all wet. And this is gonna make a wet dough. As you can see in here, I still have a few dry places. Right here and right here. So I'm gonna keep mixing it in until I get all of those dry places well worked in. Now we're just going to cover the dough and let it rise for 2 to 5 hours. It depends really on your temperature in your house. How you will know is that it will about double in size. So if you look at this bowl, it's gonna get big and go over the top. So when it's like this high, you'll know that it's done. So you just need to let it rise for about 2 to 5 hours, depending on if it's summer or if it's winter or if you keep your house really cold. The warmer it is, the faster it will rise.
Okay, so if your house is like 100 degrees.
It will rise very fast. So we're gonna get a clean towel and we are going to lay this over the top. That is just to make sure that nothing falls in there. And I'm gonna put it on top of the stove and I'm just gonna let it sit for 2 hours. Okay, so I've moved all my supplies over. We're gonna get this going. So what you would do here is you would not take out any. I'm gonna take out some because I'm making some for dinner. I've already washed my hands. I'm gonna get a little flour on my board and some flour on my hands. And I'm just gonna kind of mix that. We're not kneading it, none of that. I'm gonna put it in a bag. So this one ended up a little bit more wet than my last one. Let me get this mixed in. No, you haven't washed your hands. There we go, that's actually feeling better.
How do you rip it, Mom?
Well, it's kind of hard and it's really heavy.
Is that how you rip it?
It's like a big ball of goo.
You're gonna have to wash the bag.
So at this point, you're going to put the bag in the refrigerator overnight, at least for 3 hours if you want to make some the day of, but overnight, you'll be ready the next morning. So the next morning when you get up, you're going to let your dough rise for about 45 minutes to an hour, and then you're going to preheat your oven to 450. You're going to fill up a pan of warm water and you're going to stick it in the oven. And this is to put some steam in the oven with your bread so that your bread doesn't get too dry. This is what helps it to stay moist. So while that's preheating, you're going to take your dough. To make sure that the dough doesn't stick to your hands, you're going to want to get some flour, put it on your hands. Make sure that you flour the board also. And this is just going to make sure that you don't have a big sticky mess because this is a wet dough. At this point, you're just going to take the ends and you're going to tuck them under. It's still kind of sticky, but you can work with it. You can see here, it just tucks right under, and that's how you make the top pretty. And you're going to put that into a very lightly greased pan. I use olive oil, that's my favorite. You're just going to place it in there. And I'm just putting the oil in the second pan. I always make 2 loaves for our family because the first one pretty much gets eaten right when I first cut the first loaf open. And the second loaf sometimes makes it to dinner. So if you're anything like us, we don't really just go around eating loaves of bread. But when you make homemade bread, there's just something about it. It's irresistible. It's so delicious. It's healthy for your family, and your kids are going to love it, I promise. And Chris, it's a special treat when he gets home from work and gets to have fresh homemade bread. He just loves it. So here I am tucking in the bottoms again. You just kind of round it over, tuck it under, round it over, tuck it under, and you can add a little flour if you need to if it feels too sticky. So now you're just gonna stick it in the oven and you're gonna set the timer for 30 minutes and just wait. It's gonna be delicious and you're gonna love it.
The very best bread I've ever eaten, homemade probably.
Oh, that looks good.
But it's still a little floury.
That looks very good. That's just the pan of water that we put in there. Oh yeah. Look at that. Nice and crispy, flaky. So I've got my butter on there. Oh yeah. It's crispy. It's chewy. It's moist. Look at that. It's airy. It's delicious. So if you decide to make this, please post some pictures. Let me know how it turns out and leave some comments. And make sure to like and subscribe to our channel. Thank you.